This war is intensifying, escalating. It could even become nuclear, viewers, at least from one side, or maybe both, and I'll tell you why. Iran and Israel are both taking hits, even as the latter is establishing dominance. There is no doubt that Israel is beginning to turn the tide in its favor. India is asking both sides to de-escalate. And I'll tell you, we are not alone, viewers. A number of other BRICS countries also don't want this war. But sadly, there are a few voices in our own country. The main opposition party, the Gandhis-led Congress, the communists and other elements from the India bloc who are dead against Israel and are openly supporting Iran. Now, these parties and their ecosystem, camp followers, ought to hang their heads in shame. Their calls for India to oppose Israel and back Iran ignore a developing Iran-Pakistan Islamic nuclear axis that poses an existential threat to non-Muslim nations like Iran and India in the region. Pakistan has been the biggest supplier of expertise to Iran. In 2003, it admitted when UN inspectors who examined Iran's nascent uranium enrichment center in Natanz concluded that the designs were identical to Pakistan's. And Pakistan was forced to admit that its own scientists, also called the father of the Islamic bomb, A.Q. Khan, had been a conduit for blueprints that helped Iran amass nuclear weapons, or at least attempt to do so, or go quite down the road in doing so, in manufacturing them. And if confirmation of this nuclear handshake were ever needed, it has come just yesterday from Iran's National Security Council member Mohsen Rezaei. The Iranian military official says that Pakistan has told Iran that if, quote, Israel drops a nuclear bomb in Tehran, we will drop a nuclear bomb on them, unquote. Listen first to this reaction.
پاکستان گفته اگر اسرائیل بخواد بمب اتم بزنه ما به اسرائیل بمب اتم خواهیم زد. احساسات مسلمان‌ها تو منطقه فوق‌العاده رو به افزایش خواهد بود. هرچی ما قوی‌تر عمل کنیم، هرچی مردم ما همراهی بیشتری با نیروهای مسلح عمل کنن، ما از این گردن عبور کنیم، اون طرفش یک اقیانوسی از پیشرفت سیاسی، نظامی، اقتصادی انشاءالله جلوی ملت ما خواهد بود.
Viewers, the prospect of an Iran-Pakistan Islamic nuclear access is a threat for every non-Muslim state in Asia, particularly India. The stakes couldn't be higher. Let me tell you this. The stakes couldn't be higher. And as we speak, attacks to degrade Iran's nascent nuclear capacities or advanced nuclear capacities have taken place, viewers. The Fordo enrichment facility has been targeted. The Arak heavy water reactor, Natanz nuclear facility, Isfahan nuclear facility, all of them have been targeted. I don't know to what extent, but there are these reports. And I want to first begin with Nadav Steinman, Board Chair, International Legal Forum from Jerusalem, Hamid Reza Golamzadeh, who's the director of the Diplohus. I want to first begin with you, Mr. Steinman. This is an important day in this entire 4-day war because it could go either which ways. There is talk of the Iranians wanting to come back to the talks table. Israel says the worst is not over. We're going to go for all the nukes. We've secured the airspace over Western Iran, etc., etc. The Pakistanis apparently have jumped in and they're threatening to help Iran settle nuclear scores with Israel. You know what's been happening, so I'm not going to labor the point beyond a certain degree, but I have to ask you, is this war justified, and why is it from Israel's point of view? What's the aim here? Where is it going to stop? What is the exact aim?
Although I'm not a member of the government, but I'm an individual and a lawyer. specializing in international law, but nevertheless, your introduction asked the most pertinent questions. Is this an Israel question or is this a world question? If I may rephrase it with your permission, because the threat of Iran being nuclear is what this is all about. The parameters of international law don't require India nor Israel to sit and wait to be attacked by their nuclear neighbors. There is certainly well-established rights of self-defense of every country, but that self-defense includes the ability to prevent attacks on your own people, which is what Israel is very clear in its intent of this action. And I think this speaks very much to your audience as well, sir, because from an Indian perspective, when we look at your nuclear neighbor and now the threats that they're saying that they're going to join or they're going to assist Iran, which Iran claims to be a fact that they received that communication from Pakistan, then you have this particular issue that shows itself as not being localized, although these are two very separate countries between Israel and Iran, quite a distance apart. But we see that this axis is an axis that threatens not only this country where I'm sitting in now, but many others in the world, including very much India. So that causes a sense of fear and concern, although in some respects, if you look at it together, and if I may ask that we look at this together from an Indian and Israel perspective, that we are doing a service to the world to ensure that these countries who are axis of evil not to have nuclear arms within their hands. So what is the end goal? To respond to your question, it's been clear today that Israel is stating that the end goal is to get Iran at a table in order to sit and make a decision that will be conclusive, not a permissive agreement that allows Iran to upgrade or continue the production of its nuclear facilities, but one that protects the citizens of your country and ours as well, that prevents this growth of a nuclear state. And I think we can both admit that we do not want neither India nor Israel to have Iran with a nuclear warheads. But let's be clear. I think we have to listen to what our enemies are saying. Your neighbor and our enemy, Iran, state unequivocally who they wish to destroy. They are not secret about their aims. So it's incumbent upon us in Israel to prevent that from occurring. That's the element of self-defense here. But bringing again to the Indian perspective, India has provided this balanced approach to this. But now is the time for India, who could be a significant player in this game, to be able to assist the parties without an extremist view, but a middle of the road view, which India has done, in order to enable the parties to actually negotiate a settlement together.
Okay.
That's my plea, I suppose, to India.
Okay, so let me bring in Sushant Sareen. Sushant Sareen, look, our problem here is that you're seeing an emerging axis between Pakistan and Iran. Pakistan would love to have Iran on its side. It can also then settle the Afghan question for a while. There'll be strategic depth. That's what we're being told. Baluchistan, they have a buffer. All of that becomes somehow, for them, less of a problem, less of a headache. But if it's going to come down to sort of exchanging nuclear material and building Iran's nuclear capacities and also giving them what is known as the Islamic bomb, it's a problem for us. And therefore, there are enough people in our country who are delusioned. I think they suffer from some delusion about Iran being this old civilizational ally, this, that, the other. I think there's a problem. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sushant Sareen.
Rahul, there is a problem. And very clearly, it's partly because people have religious affiliations and sectarian affiliations with Iran. So there is that issue. There is, again, a religious angle to the whole thing. The Israelis have been demonized by a section of society in India. So yes, all of those political and other issues are certainly there. But on a more strategic plane, look, I think there is a clear and present danger that Israel perceives from Iran because of the kind of state of relationship which they've had. And those relations have been particularly bad for many decades now. And there is this danger that because Iran also threatens to annihilate Israel, Israel fears an existential threat from Iran getting hands on nuclear weapons. Now, despite the Iranian leadership disavowing nuclear weapons, the fact of the matter remains that all the developments on the ground suggest that Iran has been working towards developing nuclear weapons. Now, if you even remove Israel from the equation, right, for a moment, just remove it from the equation, I think even the rest of the Middle East will be severely destabilized if Iran was to start possessing nuclear weapons. Despite all the recent developments between Saudi Arabia and Iran and the newfound friendship, they've had a history of bad blood between them. These are two different, in a sense, sectarian affiliations which they have, and that Arab and Ajam has been going on for over 1500 years. It's as old as Islam itself, even older in some ways. So there is, within Saudi Arabia, you will hear a number of voices saying that, look, if Iran gets nuclear weapons, we have no choice. We will have to get nuclear weapons because today our relations might be on even keel. Who knows what happens tomorrow? Other countries would also want to possess nuclear weapons. That means it becomes a very destabilizing thing for the rest of the Middle East. The problem, however, is that whatever diplomatic solutions were being sought fell very far short of what people desired the end result. I don't think there was any real meeting ground. JCPOA, up to a point, was working, but I think because it had a sunset clause, I think it was problematic for many people that what happens after the agreement runs out. Does that mean that you have to then negotiate a fresh agreement? And even now, none of the diplomatic things which are on the table seem to find any meeting ground. Now, Iran says that we are not going to stop enrichment. Okay, the others are insisting on that. How are you going to monitor it? Are you going to be able to police that particular agreement or not? Those were very, very serious questions which nobody was ready to answer. Now, Israel has taken the steps it has taken. Let's see how the war proceeds. It seems that Israel is able to cause significant damage right now in Iran, but is also taking some amount of punishment itself.
Yeah.
Will the other countries jump in? Will Iran back off? If they back off, how will they be able to sell it to their own people politically? I think that becomes a problem. For us in India, there is, of course, the Pakistani angle. There is the diplomatic angle because we have excellent relations with Israel. And we don't have bad relations with Iran. In fact, we have fairly good relations with Iran, and there are many areas in which we cooperate with it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So for us, it becomes a big problem. For the Pakistanis, it's not a problem because they are anti-Semitic in nature. And the Americans who talk about anti-Semitism, the Trump administration,
are quoting the Pakistanis.
Yeah, they don't have a word to say about the Pakistanis and
the Americans have no principles right now under their president. I don't know even if they ever had them, but nonetheless, let's just put those people aside for a few minutes.
So for us, the issue is that we have a country like Pakistan, which keeps threatening to lob nuclear weapons on us, which has had a history, as you very quickly put it, of sharing nuclear technology with Pakistan, and which now has threatened that we are ready to jump in, and there's a lot of people in the Pakistani space, political space and other space, who are threatening that we should be able to join Iran and launch attacks against Israel.
And punish those who are supporting Israel also. That's the other underlying sort of threat that is being held out. Okay, so let me just open this up because I need to go across to Mr. Gholamzadeh, who's the director of Diplo House. Mr. Gholamzadeh, there is a view around the world that the clergy in Iran is pushing its own interests, and in doing so it is endangering its people by pursuing nuclear weapons despite being signatories to the NPT, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, etc. It is being obstructionist, and perhaps the regime itself, which doesn't enjoy much legitimacy, is really throwing the people under the bus, and that there will be some repercussions.
What you call a regime in Iran, which is not a regime, it's a state and government, it's something that has been selected by its people. And the people have voted for it after the revolution, and for the government, they have been voting every otherwise. And it's not like we fool our audience. Let's respect our audience. It's not like that the religion would be good when it comes to the Israelis to create a Jewish state. religion would be good when India focuses on Buddhism and tries to actually put limits on Muslims. And when it comes to Iranians and Islam, it would be all axis of evil and very dangerous and something like that. It's not working like it. Iran is a state. It has its own laws. It has its elections. It's a democracy. And it's not attacking anyone.
No, do you support the Hezbollah? Do you support the Hezbollah?
Well, of course we do. Of course we do, because they are supporting
the Hezbollah. The Hezbollah. Do you support the Hamas?
We do.
Do you support the Hamas?
Of course we do, because they are defending the lands.
Now, viewers,
they are defending the country. They are defending the lands.
So I think viewers in India are intelligent enough to know
the regime that you're supporting, Israel, is attacking the others.
No, one second.
Attacked all the neighbors.
We're all, of course, we're all our sentiments are running a little high right now, so I can understand that.
It's not about sentiments, it's about logics.
No, but one second. Hang on. You talked about logic, sir. You talked about logic, and you said let's not fool the people. In India, viewers, we have very limited patience for states that support non-state actors who go into other countries and use extra-constitutional means.
Who has gone to other countries? Palestinians are their own country.
One second, sir. One second, sir. One second, sir. Just allow me 2 minutes.
This is good.
1 second. 1 second, sir. Just 1 second. So, in India, we've suffered, as you all know, viewers, for years altogether. But I want to get to the point here. Are you trying to tell me, sir, that the clergy in Iran is a very open clergy, it doesn't repress human rights?
Of course I do say.
They do or they don't?
They do not oppress people, and they are working with their citizens. All the citizens right now are united.
The women who refuse to wear the headscarf, they were killed. There are disappearances of people, of opponents. All of that is legitimate practice, you think, sir, in line with law, and that is not repressive?
Has its own constitution. Every country has its own constitution.
Okay, but which constitution?
If you do not understand something,
okay, but
doesn't mean that it is not logical or rational.
So viewers, here we have it. You have a regime that actually, at some level or the other, doesn't conduct the elections in a manner that is internationally recognized as a free and fair process. If you go by the highest standards. No, hang on. And perpetuates itself in power. And there is no freedom of expression. There's limited freedom over your own. Okay, look, I'm not going down that route right now. My point are the Ayatollahs, for example, the regime there, and I want to bring in Jane Kinemong, is it really putting its own interests above those of the people in pursuing this nuclear fetish, in scratching this nuclear itch? That's the question I want to ask you, ma'am.
We need nuclear energy.
I think it's important to... Okay, I'm going to come in now. Thank you.
Yeah.
There is a very strong international consensus that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. Of course, Iran itself says that it's not pursuing a nuclear weapon. The JCPOA, as your guest said, was working, but it stopped working because the Americans withdrew from it in 2018. And then Iran started playing a dangerous game of brinkmanship. It started to increase its enrichment of uranium. Now, some people think that was to get the capability for a bomb. Others think Iran was trying to use that as leverage to drag the US back to the negotiating table. And they believed that had succeeded because the Trump administration was talking to Iran. Diplomacy had not broken down. Talks were supposed to happen in Oman, mediated by the Omani foreign minister, yesterday. There were international proposals being worked on to try to find a solution to the enrichment issue. And if enrichment had continued, it would have been monitored and inspected by the International Atomic Energy Agency, which has condemned the strikes on nuclear facilities. So we had not got to the end of the road with nuclear diplomacy. But I think now, on one hand, many Iranians do not want to see their country bombed, and they are blaming both Israel and their own government. On the other hand, there are criticisms emerging that Iran, at best, miscalculated by playing this game of nuclear brinkmanship, and that it is going to have to reassess its policies very deeply if indeed the current political system survives this. Right now, that's really in question.
Well, is regime change going to happen? We don't know. Viewers, one just hopes that whatever does happen does take the people of Iran along. Because if that doesn't happen, we've got a problem. We'll have a problem the size of Iraq. We'll have the problem the size of Afghanistan. So whatever has to happen must happen through the mandate of the people. And that's where we want to leave it at this. We're going to come back to this story, of course, tomorrow and look at other angles of this and how it's going to directly impact India if this conflagration expands beyond borders.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम, वेलकम टू माई ब्लॉग्स। असं नवा काम शुरू किया था वो बता दूँ। वेट करना सिर्फ अभी काम शुरू किया जी। क्रोम में ओपन कर लेना, ओपन करके फिर बनाऊँ वाई और डॉट एंटर एंटर ना फिर साइन इन एंड करके भी एक तो प्लस भी बचाना है। तो आगे आई डी कितनी है, कॉपी की है, इतना भी थोड़ा पेस्ट कर देना। ठीक है, फिर इतना देना तो समझ ना आया ही पूछ लेना। मामला आगे मांगे कंटिन्यू कंटिन्यू के बाद उसको हम 3 प्लस करना है। इसको किया फिर 22 में आ गया। फिर इसमें वही 0.7 कॉपी पेस्ट कंटिन्यू। अभी वेट करना पड़ता है। कंटिन्यू देखना। इसके बाद 2 रह गए, फिर काम खत्म। फिर नया काम बार चला पाएंगे। अच्छी याद नहीं देना। कॉपी पेज कंटिन्यू। फोर्थ में हो रहा कमेंट करिए हमारे। देखिए सही है। copy, paste, continue with Google, Microsoft, continue. लाइक करो, कमेंट करो, सब्सक्राइब करो, जल्दी जल्दी। आती है मेरे गाँव वाले दो पानी। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह पता नहीं चली जाती है। copy to enter. Ini kemana bagaimana setting nonton mau guys. Jadi bela kamera mukammal. देखो हो जाऊंगा पहले वीडियो पूरी अभी करना। अच्छा जी आप लोग 25 पूरे ठीक है। जिन्होंने तक F5 तो रिप्ले करना प्ले करके तुम ने जरा करिए सबसक्राइब करिए चैनल ते नाल कमेंट पे जाके देखिए। USB लाऊंगे पहले उन्हें भी लगानी का ये USB इस्तेमाल USB लग गई। ये स्टार्ट करने प्लान किया वेट करो। वायु लिया वायु चलेगा ना थले प्रोक्सी ये इसका नाम क्या था फोल्डर का? फोल्डर का नाम फोल्डर का वो जो यूएसबी
मिनिमाइज किया हुआ
नहीं वो इधर खोल रहे हैं
उसमें जाओ सी डाटा में।
अच्छा सी डाटा के अंदर पड़ा है। आप हाँ यहाँ पे आओ। उतला भाई उतला उतला यो यूएसबी कर दो अब लाइक करो, कमेंट करो, शेयर करो और मैं आपको मिलता हूँ नेक्स्ट। अस्सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। वेलकम टू माय ब्लॉग्स। उम्मीद तो है सब खैर आफियत से होंगे। चले जी, मैं आपको अगले काम का आगाज़ बताता हूँ। जो हमने करना था वो बिस्मिल्लाह अल्लाह का नाम लेकर शुरू करते हैं। चले जी, हमने आईडी लगानी थी, पासपोर्ट इधर से कॉपी किया, ठीक हो गया। कॉपी नीचे आ गए, इस पे नहीं लगी, पेस्ट किया, ठीक है। इस पे आ गए, इस पे कर दिया, ठीक हो गया। इसके नीचे लगी हुई हैं दो, नीचे आ गए, इस पे लगा दी। इससे नीचे आ गए, उस पे लगा दी। इस पे आ गए, इस पे लगा दी। और इस पे नहीं लगी हुई, इस पे भी लगा दी, ठीक हो गया। अब देखिए ना, फोकस मेरी तरफ हो आप सबका, ठीक हो गया। इसको इस पे लगा दी, इसको इस पे लगा दी। गाइस अगर चाहें तो मैं पानी पी सकता हूँ और 2 मिनट की ब्रेक ले रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैंने पानी पीना है। पानी की गर्मी की शिद्दत बहुत है इधर फैसलाबाद में। ये देखिए मैंने पी के फिनिश कर दिया सारा। इतना रह गया, पहले इतना था, फिर इतना था, फिर इतना। मुंह सूख रहा है मेरा। आप भी गाइस बहुत अच्छा ख्याल करें कि आपका भी मुंह खुशक ना रहे, ठीक है, अदरवाइज मसला बन सकता है गाइस। हमारे इधर 9:45 हो गए हैं, 9:45 हो गए हैं। पानी ठंडा है, लीची वाला पानी है। तक ना पानी पी रहा हाँ की वैल बांगे सलाम यार नाम क्या एक मिनट नहीं पानी का गिलास हो। ये साथ को मेरे साथ ही प्यास लग जाती है, पता नहीं ये करबला से है या किधर से है। ये देखिए गाइस कितना प्यारा पानी लग रहा है ना। आपने पीना तो बताएं, मैं आपको कमेंट करें, मैं आपको गैस कैश करवा देता हूँ। गाइस दिखाना, वो दिखाना गाइस। मैं ना थोड़ा सा वो गूगल पे देख रहा हूँ कि इधर पासपोर्ट कौन सा लगाना है। वाई ना करी वीडियो कॉपीराइट है ना, बंद कर लेंगे। हाँ जी गाइस हम आ गए हैं। पानी हमने पी लिया है, हमने रेस्ट भी कर लिया है और हमने खाना भी खा लिया है, ठीक है। आज कौरमा आया था खाने में। तो गाइस अगर आपने खाना है तो मुझे बताओ, मैं आपके लिए भी भेज देता हूँ। गाइस हम वही काम कर रहे हैं जो मैं पहले कर रहा था, इधर आइडिया लगा रहा हूँ। वैसे मैं दोबारा चेक कर रहा हूँ, कोई रह तो नहीं गया बीच में। और आपको मैंने बताया था कि सेव करने के लिए क्या क्या प्रेस करना है, कंट्रोल करना है और एस करना है, ठीक हो गया। जट पुट्ठे हैं कमांदा। आगे आगे 161 वाली, ठीक है। इधर से हमने करना सेव करना है, इसको मिनिमाइज करना है, ठीक है गाइस। अब मैं थोड़ी सी सेटिंग कर लूँ, ठीक है। सेटिंग करने के बाद मैं आपको डिटेल देता हूँ क्या है, ठीक हो गया। वेट तो जट पुठे हैं कम आंदा। या अल्लाह मदद, या नबी मदद। अगर किसी भैन भरा समझ ना लगे तो भाई मैनू कमेंट करके पूछ सकता वा, थत्थे ना बने रहे हो। बबल लगा ये बबल
बड़े बड़े व्यू बची है
तुम जाओ गाजी गाइस ये देखो मैं आपको जल्दी जल्दी बता रहा हूँ एक किस्से क्या है हम नया काम शुरू कर रहे हैं वो मैं तो ना दसूँगा
ठीक है पंजाबी जोड़ो
एक बार थोड़ी सेटिंग करने के बाद ना बिना दस देना
इधर ना बोल नया ही मानना तो मैंने भी आता है
कोई बात पहले वाला काम जो होता था वो मुकम्मल हो गया ना तो अब हम नया काम करेंगे मैं आपको बताता हूँ बाद मौसम बारिश वाला हुआ है बहुत अच्छा चाइनीज उसके बाद गर्म उसको कॉपी करना इधर लेके आकर पेस्ट कर देना तो कॉपी करता हूँ चाहिए तो बहुत सारा अच्छा सिर्फ वो भी है आपने लाइक करना सब्सक्राइब करना और लाइक करना ठीक है।